Okay. Looks like I am live. Hello, hello. Help him. Welcome. Help him. Help him. Welcome to the Soulcast and Energy Report for April. Super excited to be here. Took me a couple days to it's the 4th, but we are going to tune in to every week and get a feel for the overall of what's going to be transpiring in April. Last month was full of so much transformation and so many shifts and just so many things happening. And April's not going to disappoint either. It's going to be a little bit different, and I'm excited to tune into the energy of it. If you're new to me, my name is Dawn L, and I am a multidimensional healer and oracle. And I provide these reports every month because I think it's so important to, be able to kind of tune in energetically and see how to navigate the month. So I bring in a little bit of astrology, but mostly it's all about connecting to source energy and feeling kind of the different energetic dynamics that are going to be playing out in the collective and for you personally. So without further ado, I'm going to start and pick the card for April that is going to be indicative of kind of the theme and the energy that we will be working with all month. And I'm going to kind of just get a feel for April. I don't know if you tuned in with me last month, but when I did the Soulcast and there was a Tower Week and I had said that it was going to be money, it was the week that the bank systems started to collapse. And so we're seeing some really big stuff. And this is just a time to know that a lot of things in the collective are shifting, and it's for the good. But if you're wondering why things feel so different, it's because there was some big changes in the astrology that are going to affect things, for some time. So it was like Saturn moving into Pisces, Pluto moving into Aquarius. And so just like these bigger things, Mars moving into Cancer, that just changed and shifted kind of like the tone and the frequency of where we have been. So the card for April is the third eye chakra. I just love this card. First of all, it's just freaking gorgeous. But what does that mean? I'm just going to write this down. I take notes for myself too, because I love to kind of follow along as the month unfolds. And so there's going to be so much more than meets the eye this month. You're going to have such an advantage if you close your eyes and go within and spend some time really processing and being in meditation and allowing for some stillness to bring some answers forth. I feel like there's going to be a lot of regenerative energy that is going to bolster and bring vitality to some of the things that you want to start this month. There's an emboldened energy around fresh starts and new beginnings that is catapulting off of last month as well. There's kind of this like push, because we have a lot of energy in Aries. I can feel that. There's going to be a continued feeling of high light frequency from solar flares and different things coming to the planet, helping consciousness awaken to higher levels, which means you have to really take good care of your body. You have to really be in your body and able to feel through your internal compass of your intuition, but really your the feelings that are arising for you of which direction you need to go in your life. This is not a time that you're only going to be relying on logic. Like those, you shouldn't be relying just on logic. You should be really listening to your higher self, your future self, that has so much support for where you're going in your life. So this just feels like you are going to be receiving a lot of messages about next steps. And feeling really, for those of you who have been on the path for quite some time and have really like developed your intuition, it feels like it's going to go to another level. Like you're going to like, I'm hearing telepathic communication between people is going to be stronger. So it might be like, you pick up, like your phone rings and you know exactly who it is, but it's also deeper than that. It's like sending telepathic energy and messages to people. There's studies that have been done that show like when you think about somebody in your mind and you send them energy, that it impacts and they can feel it. It doesn't matter how far geographically these two people are. So I want you to imagine this is a month that you get to step into some magical superpowers, which these aren't really superpowers, but they seem to be in general society because people don't use it as often as they should. But instead of looking externally for your answers, I want to invite you this month to really take a pen to paper and do some automatic writing, to really work with your energy and have heart and brain coherence to impact where you're going. Because I started off by saying, there's more than meets the eye. And it's because in the collective right now, there is so much fuckery, excuse my language, it seems like, with just, there's a lot that's happening. I think so much of it is like, is this real? Is this not real? Like what's really going on? And I think there's going to be disclosures. We're going to learn more this month. I think we're really going to be reviewing a lot when Mercury goes into retrograde later this month. I think that's on the 19th or 21st or something like that. So I'm really picking up this feeling that there's going to be things happening where you're going to have to really use your internal discernment to ask yourself, is this feel real or not? Because as we've learned through time, especially through the last few years, not everything is what it seems. Just leave it at that. Not everything is what it seems. So this is, use your intuitive capabilities to see through the BS, also to receive the directives that are going to lead you on your path with your purpose and where you're supposed to be going. So that is the overall card for April. So now I'm going to tune into this specific week that we have. And if you're joining me live, I do not have, this is on, let me just see really quick if I can see who's on, because I would love to say hello. So if you're joining me live, please put in the comments and say hello. And I would love to welcome you. And if you are going to be listening to the replay later, hashtag replay. I love hearts. I love likes. I love, interacting with you. So if you can, I'd love to hear from you. So I'll kind of try and keep that open so I can see in a little bit. But let's move into so this is starting the week of the 3rd. We have a big full moon this week on the 5th in Libra. There's the Chiron Kazemi. So this week holds a lot of energy. Libra full moon is all about the energy of partnerships. So it's romantic relationships, partnerships that you have. So it could be business partnerships, any type of partnership. And where were you 6 months ago at the Libra new moon? What were you working on? What were you looking at, when you wrote your intentions, if you did? And thinking about where are you now? And what's coming to culmination, what wants to be revealed, what needs to be let go of in your partnerships that is no longer aligned or serving you. What do you want to, ground more into? So that big full moon, we're going to be feeling it. I'm going to be feeling the energy of that. So I wanted to preface it with that. So let me pull this card and see what we got. Ooh. We got the Rejoice and Celebration card. So this card, I love this card. This card is such a great message because it's all about having some fun. How often Do you get so serious about life when you are trying to do something new or change up the energy or shift or heal? We can get really serious and we can get really here in our head. And this card feels like such an invitation to get into your body and to be around people that nurture, nourish, and love you and support you and that you can have fun with, and get back to a dynamic of lightness, levity, laughter, joy, seeing laughter as beautiful medicine to work with. I feel like this is a week that maybe, because it's, thinking about the full moon and the effect it's going to have, is like seeing how your relationships benefit you, how you can call in divine partnership romantically or with like soulmate friends that really bring out the best in you, that support you and help you enjoy life even when it is difficult and challenging. This energy, it feels playful, and I always love seeing, like, when I feel playful energy, I get the word amicable. I think where that plays out is maybe there's going to be some healing within relationships where before it didn't feel amicable, and all of a sudden something shifts or changes, something's illuminated with this full moon where energetic dynamics can shift. And it starts with you. So I want you to think about your relationships that you have right now and where you might feel stuck at an impasse, and think about, who do you need to be in order for this to shift? And I say that, who do you need to be? Because oftentimes we think that the way the relationship is playing out is just based on the other person. So this is an invitation to realize that we're always operating from patterns, especially in relationships, ancient patterns that are based upon our childhood upbringing. And if you want something to shift in a partnership, if you want more aligned partnerships, start within yourself, start with higher alignment within, start with more congruency. And what would it look like if you were coming from a lighter space in your heart? What would it look like for that particular, whatever the relationship that comes to your mind? What would it look like if it was more amicable, if there was a challenging relationship, or maybe you have a boss that's really difficult, or a sibling, or whatever it may be, a parent? What would it look like to partner up in that relationship and employ a different pattern? Because I really feel like this full moon in Libra is going to give us an incredible opportunity to show up differently. And I love that energy. I love it. Whoops, sorry. I was trying to see if there was a comment on my thing and it went loud. But when you think about bringing in more joy, because that's, a part of what this card is about: celebration, joy, play, fun. What does that look like for you? Spirit is giving me such an interesting message. They're saying, what used to bring you joy might have shifted. So for some of you, you're really like finding that you're growing and just changing rapidly. And what used to be fun for you, like what used to be fun for me back in the day, was like going to brunch and having 2 or 3 cocktails with, glasses of champagne, let's say, with my friends. I don't enjoy that anymore. That's not fun for me. I'd rather go to a yoga class with my friends and go on a walk on a beach or something. Notice how you may be shifting in partnership with yourself, and really, like, what does it look like for you to celebrate and have fun? And if it's changed from what it used to be, give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to come from this new vantage point of what might be really fun and joyful for you. I also see this as giving yourself time to withdraw and go within yourself and cultivate some energy of gratitude, generosity for the really, really beautiful things that are happening. This feels like an energy of really filling yourself up and taking that kind of bird's eye opportunity during your meditation space to make sure that you are aware of how you interact in your relationships and partnerships, and where you get to decide. Because, I always talk about futuring between whether you want to still operate from your inner child or if you want to operate from your future self, and understanding what does your future self, if she's at her most joyous and best, how does she operate in relationships? Is there a lot of drama and trauma still operating in your relationship spaces? And if so, it's just a call for healing. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's just like there's old patterns that are still playing out. So that's the energy for this week. So have some fun. Give yourself some space to have a good time. We have Easter, if you celebrate Easter's this weekend, and the magic of Easter, the resurrection, rising, just think about what wants to be resurrected or reborn within you. Because I love that symbology. And I think it's really powerful, as so much is going to be illuminated through our relationships. And hopefully for a lot of us, it's going to be love being reflected back to us. This isn't about a negative thing being reflected to you. It's about what's working, and then where there's room for growth and expansion. So then we come into the week of the 10th, and let me just see really quick if there's any big noteworthy things the week of the 10th. No. Okay. I just want to make sure there's not anything yet. There is some big astrology in April. We have a big eclipse in Aries. So that's going to be second new moon in Aries. Okay. So for the week of the 10th, we get financial and material changes. So we are going to be having a Mercury retrograde that begins on the 21st, the following week. And it is going to be in the sign of Taurus, which has to do with, part of it is our finances and all that kind of stuff, how we spend money, wealth management, different things like that. So this is a 5 card, which denotes changes. As we've seen shifts going on in the collective, we each individually are going to be asked to look at our relationship to money, to wealth, to how we generate money, and all these kind of things. And so I feel like this is kind of like the pre-work to the Mercury retrograde. Also, when I feel into this card, I'm getting a lot of solar plexus activity. I'm feeling that there's this sense of what's no longer working for certain people is going to become really obvious. And there's going to be this kind of energy of allowing things to shift. This is a time where, one of the messages I'm getting is it's not about settling. It's about stepping into your confidence and your self-worth and taking aligned action, taking right action that would allow you to move more towards your dreams. And that means sometimes at first we feel like we're giving something up in order to have the other thing. It's not always a smooth transition. It's not always like, okay, I'm going to give up this habit and then I'm going to just be so comfortable with this new one. Think about if you're all of a sudden, I started doing intermittent fasting. I fast every day from 7 p.m. until 11 a.m. the next day. And I'm going on to my 3rd week of doing it. And I remember when I first started doing it, I'm doing it. If you guys I don't want to go into the whole thing, but intermittent fasting is incredible for your brain and for, a lot of different health reasons. And I have fought it. I was like, I'm not going to do it. Who doesn't eat breakfast? That's crazy. I've always loved creamer in my coffee. I was like, I can't just drink black coffee. all these stories and excuses of like why I couldn't do it. And then one day I just woke up and I was, for whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm ready to do this. There's no more excuses. I'm going to just step into it. But it was uncomfortable. It was kind of that feeling of like, I wasn't used to the fasting just yet. And I'm in this space of like, why am I doing this? Like, why? But this week of the 10th, like there's something you want to get to, there's some change you want to make, and there's a little bit of a sacrifice feeling and discomfort to get to where you want to go. Don't give up. Things are coming together. There's always going to be discomfort when you're shifting and aligning into new frequencies of who you want to be. So this is a week where you might feel the changes. You might feel like it's kind of like you can feel almost like if you see like a machine and it's almost like the different parts and pieces like cranking together. It just feels like you can kind of feel it in your body of like, oh my God, things are changing and it's happening so fast. And yet in some parts for you, it's not going to feel fast, but there's movement this week. And the distinct feeling I get is that what is not aligned with spirit, what's not aligned with your higher soul calling, for some of you, something may drop out of your field. Like something may be like, it might not work anymore. You'll be like, oh my God, like what happened there? Like I felt like such alignment and now all of a sudden it's not working anymore. So you might find that you fall out of alignment or things aren't as easy in a certain area. And I'm really feeling this in like very much the material world with your physical body, your health, your money, your wealth, in your work, like those kind of areas where it's easy to see if we're paying attention, when things are not working. There's also a beautiful day this week on the 11th. It's a Jupiter Kazemi. So depending on where Jupiter falls in your chart, it's an incredible day to show up. It's going to be a really, really beautiful, sweet day. So mark that one on your calendar as just like an incredible day to show up in your gifts, to really have that self-worth. Maybe it's a day, like if you're wanting to launch something or get something going, a project, like that's a great day to get it started. And speaking of that, if you are doubting your self-worth this week, if something's coming up around your self-esteem and like there's a story that keeps ruminating of like, well, I can never have that because, or I don't know if that's ever going to come to fruition because I really want you to sit with that. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the times the stories, right, that we hear in our head are so ancient. They're from our childhood. They're from and we just hold on to these stories. And it was kind of like this intermittent fasting thing. I was like, I can't do it. Like I was so programming myself to think like, I just can't. And then when I did it, I was like, this really isn't that hard. But if something inside of you is like, I don't know if I can do this. This seems so improbable. Like this seems like it's never going to happen. I really want you to question your relationship to your intuition and magic. Because if you're so in your logical and linear and you're like wondering how things are going to work out for you, and like if I want you to, first of all, get really confident and decide that the universe is working in alignment when you are committed, when you decide that this is what you want, understand that the universe is going to meet you there. That's the first thing. The second thing is I want you to think about the energy of what you think is improbable. Like, oh, this is never going to happen. Like the way things work based on energy is something that's improbable can become, like if you start to shift, it will become probable, or I'm sorry, a possibility, then probable. And then eventually it's going to become inevitable. But it's a sequence of events where you have to hold the frequency. And so much of this reality is based on our ability to hold the frequency of what we desire. And if you're second guessing yourself and you're like, I don't know if I'm worthy and how could this ever happen? Like, see this week, if you could like really go within and quiet that inner critic and really just be with the thought of like, how incredible it'll be when this thing comes inevitably to you, because you decided with complete certainty that it's yours, and play in the frequency of that. So many play in their limitations, play in the field and the realm of this thing is going to become a possibility, a probability, and inevitability. And if you're really like, I don't know how to do this, for the ladies out there, I am hosting a free future self activation, which is a 4-day free course that I'm going to be hosting. And if you want the details, reach out to me. You can private message me on Facebook or Instagram, or reply in the comments to this, because it's going to be next level. Like, I'm really going to pour into your hearts the things that you can do to become your future self and change the trajectory of your life. I'm super excited. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so that's, and by the way, that's going to be the week of, it starts April 18th. So it's April 19th and 20th. So 1:30 Pacific every day. It's free. I'm going to be pouring I'm going to be pouring my heart into it, teaching just like I would if I was teaching a paid program that I charge thousands for. I feel like there's such a deep need for this. I'm creating a community of women that want to be in a vortex of energy with other women that is based on becoming your future self, not ruminating in the past and who you used to be, but really being in a state of higher frequency, still dealing with all your stuff. This isn't about spiritual bypassing, but it's always about, what can I do to align with my future self? So if that sounds really exciting for you, it sounds super exciting to me, message me and I'd love to give you a spot in my free program, because it's by invitation only. Okay. So now we're going to move to the week of the 17th, where there's a lot of energy this week. The week that I decided to do this free program. Oh my goodness. So first and foremost, just so you know, there's a solar eclipse in Aries on the 19th. The 20th, Taurus season begins. The 21st, the Mercury retrograde begins. So it's a big week. And because if you know anything about eclipses are a wormhole, a portal for 2 weeks because it's starting with the solar eclipse and it'll end with a lunar eclipse. And they change things, things shift and move. And yeah, it's just time changes. And if you know anything about, when I say time changes, I should be more linear. Time doesn't always apply in these wormholes of these eclipse seasons. And Aries this is the second eclipse in Aries. And it's interesting because it's a later degree of Aries. So it's almost like a culmination of what happened since the other new moon in Aries last month. Aries is about self-expression. It's about individuation. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about being a warrior. So how has that evolved for you since last month? Have you been standing up for yourself? Have you noticed any changes? The North Node is going to be later this year in Aries, and Libra is going to be the South Node. So we're going to see a big emphasis on Aries energy, self-starter, self-motivated. It's going to be really interesting. I'm in Aries rising. So I'm oh my God, my life is going to be, I can feel it. I can feel the shifts that are going to be taking place. But that being said, that's the Aries new moon is going to be really a powerful one. So I would say the day of the 19th that it actually happens, there'll be a lot of energy. So taking really good care of yourself. Okay, so for the 17th, recognition and reward. So let me just write this down. So this is a 3 card. This is a card of, 3 has to do with collaboration, group efforts, energy, all that kind of stuff. And this card is so great because this person's in the spotlight. They're receiving a reward for something. They're feeling, but it's so interesting because this person looks very humbled. They have light, there's a spotlight. So where might you be needing in this Aries new moon expression, showing up as your exalted self, your individual gifts, your unique self. Where might you be needed right now? Where could you be a contribution to other people where it comes to your ability to show up as your authentic self? That's what I really want you to think of. And this is like a very, going back to the theme of April, this intuitive energy. As a matter of fact, I think April in numerology is an 11 month, which is very like manifesting energy, being able to manifest and all that kind of stuff. So where might you want to elevate through your gifts into service or a promotion or moving into a higher level of something? And this feels like a throat chakra energy of being able to express yourself, right? It's not just you can't be your authentic self without speaking some truth. That's just the gist of it. You really have to be able to stand out. And not that everybody wants to stand out, but to be yourself, sometimes it requires standing out. Sometimes it requires speaking truth. Sometimes it feels like you're going out on a limb. Sometimes you're going to be embarrassed. Sometimes you're going to be all these different feelings. This card very much feels like you identifying your authentic truth outside of what anybody else thinks. I just had an experience with this. I just want to share where I was around a group of women and I felt this really interesting feeling in my body of like not being able to be myself. And that was a choice. Like I felt uncomfortable. I didn't have a foundation with this group of women, but they were discussing and talking about things that weren't, I felt like the nicest and most supportive of women. And when I was listening to this, I noticed that I had a hard time speaking up because what I really wanted to say is like, I don't like to talk about, I don't like to talk about other women. I don't want to hear about like these were people I didn't even know, but I didn't want to hear about gossipy, complaining stuff about other women. I don't think it's important or necessary to do that. And yet I felt a little bit like I wasn't in a place to speak my truth. But the bigger piece of what I want to share with is I felt like I could see how much I shifted and grown, because there was a time in my life when I was much younger where I was complicit in all of that. Like I would be a part of the conversation and sharing and talking. And it's not something that I'm proud of, but it was part of a dynamic that when I was like in high school, that's what we did. I didn't know better until I did. And so what I'm trying to say is there's going to be these situations that are going to ask you to find your own rhythm and pace with who you want to be. And it can be challenging because you might feel like you're up there by yourself. You might feel like there's like the more you become you and the more you want to celebrate who you really are, that there's a distinction or differentiation between who you are now and who you used to be and what you used to tolerate and what you used to allow. And there's a deep calling for all of us to be in our truth, to understand who we really are outside of all the noise, which is why we got this into, third eye chakra card for the month, because the only way you know that is if you take time to go internal, if you take time to be with yourself. If you're always around people and distracted, you're not going to know. And yes, certain situations like the one I just described really give you a bird's eye view of like, oh my gosh, I've shifted or I've changed because I, don't know how to, I don't want to show up in this situation like I used to. That being said, how can you allow yourself this week to get in touch with who you want to be celebrated for? What I mean by that think of when you're celebrated by people, it's because, they're clapping for you. You've done a good job at something. Maybe you've been in service. Maybe you supported somebody, like whatever it is. Maybe you won a prestigious award at your company for the best sales. Maybe you are some public speaker and getting a whole crowd to like be motivated by you. I don't know. But what do you want to be celebrated for in this life? What is your authentic mark that you want to make on the world? And are you willing this week to make a stand for it? Because it's a new moon. It's also realizing like the journey of coming into yourself and coming home to yourself. And I want you to be able to say, like, I love myself so much that I'm willing to show up in these ways. And I want to, God forbid, be recognized for this. Like this is about being recognized for something. So maybe you're recognized among all your, I'm just thinking of this, all your mommy friends as being the mom that all the kids go to that house and they love being there because you're such a wonderful, amazing, you create such a beautiful space. It doesn't have to be something that's like you're winning a Nobel Prize, but it's about what are you making a contribution to in service to that you would want at your eulogy, as morbid as that is, to be celebrated for. So that's the theme of authenticity. It's not just like, am I being my real self? It's like, be your real self, know your truth, and then show up in it, and then make it your legacy. It's a legacy. So this is big energy that's going to last. New moons are in effect, you'll see how things shifted at the full moon 6 months later. So write it down, have a little ceremony, be aware of what you're calling in for yourself and your legacy and your authenticity of how you want to serve in this life and what your gifts are and all those fun things. Okay, so that's that card. And then last but not least, we will be in that Mercury retrograde, like I said, starting on the 21st in Taurus. And I kind of said it, it's around money and, the comfort pleasures of life and all that kind of stuff. So you might be, Mercury's communications, you're going to be reviewing how your communication things slow down. And Mercury retrograde is not bad. It's got a bad rap, but it's a time to go slower. Okay, so now we're coming to the 24th, which is technically going to be the last week of April. God, this month is going to go by quick. It's only like a 4-week month. So I'm actually hosting a retreat on the Mercury retrograde weekend. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm hosting an incredible group of women that I've been serving in a group program. And it's going to be so fun to get to be with them in person. Okay, so 24th, let's see. Wow, these are like really great cards. This whole month feels really. So the Material Harvest card. So this is a card. It's a 9 card. So it denotes a little bit of a completion, a little bit of a cycle. So you may feel like, well, theoretically, I'll tell you what the card is about, and then I'm going to tell you my take on it. But this is a card that like you reap what you sowed. Like you see, he's got all his like harvest, like he's made the money, he's got the vegetables and the fruit and like all the things that he's gained from his journey. So you have planted seeds a while ago, and this is a week that you get to see things come into that you harvest. You get to have the rewards, the material harvest of what you've been working on. So for some of you this week, you may have some money coming in, you might get a promotion. There might be something that you've been working towards or on that like shows the fruits of your labor, and it feels really juicy and fun. I love that. I also feel like for some of you, you're really going to be contemplating your relationship to money. You're going to be looking at and asking maybe some deeper questions, because I feel like earlier in the month, the week that I was telling you of the 10th, where there's financial material changes, for some of you, you really might be contemplating, because your self-worth is telling you like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm ready to go take a leap and try something new. This week of the 24th, you might be like wrapping something up and moving in a new direction. because this is denoting completion in the material realm. For some of you, it's going to be like, I want to make more money. I want to do more. And this is the thing, you guys, we are all a contribution to the collective of the quantum field. And if you haven't noticed this, they want you in fear more than anything. They want you to think that the world is going to fall apart and everything's going to be just a big mess, and banking this and economy this and blah, 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 blah. Create your own ecosystem with your frequency. Be a contribution to the quantum field and have faith and trust that things are working out for you. And I'm being serious. This is not just some woo, like quantum physics. You have an ability to influence things around you. So be responsible to yourself, create your legacy. You know, if like the week before you're thinking about how you get to like show up in your gifts, like maybe this is the week that you're like, okay, I want to like make sure that I'm financially planning. I want to make sure that my money is in order. I want to make sure that I have the structures that support my long-term growth and legacy. And because it's Mercury in retrograde, it's such a beautiful time to review things and be intuitive about it and ask, how can I build more abundance into my life? How can I have a return on my investment energetically, physically, emotionally, mentally? It's not just about money, right? Money is just an energy, just like everything else is, you know? And I think too many people want validation for the things that they're going to put their energy into. They're like, I want to make sure it's going to pan out. And I was just telling my best friend this the other day. I was like, you know what? When you go into a relationship, you can't be like just waiting to see what the other person is going to do. Like when I first got into my partnership, I made a decision because, you know, we've been long distance almost for 18 months. This is not always going to be this way. We're going to be moving in together. But until that happens, we've been having to do this long distance thing. And I could have been like, well, I don't know if it's going to work or da-da-da. And I put both my feet firmly rooted. And I was like, I'm committed. I've decided this is where I'm investing my energy, because I know and trust the return on this investment that I'm going to get, not because anything in the external world. It's not like my boyfriend was like, yeah, I'm going to give you a money back guarantee that like all this is going to be a certain way or that. Like, no, we just love each other and we trust each other and we decided to go all in. Where in your life are you expecting a harvest or a material return or gain or something where you're not even putting the work in? So this is also a time to review, like, am I doing the things that are going to get me the return that I'm desiring? But are you still looking to the external world to prove something to you with your business? Like, I'm about to launch my new mastermind and I am so pumped up about it because I believe this is what the world needs right now. This is how I'm going to serve women with my gifts, my intuition, my mastery. And I'm so sure and I'm so certain that it's inevitable. Remember how I was saying improbable, it's either probable or possible, though it could be intertwined, and then inevitable. If you step into certainty over the things that you want, you will get a return on your investment at some point. Because this is the thing, you guys, it's all about the journey. It's not about the destination. I have lots of destinations in mind that I want to go to. And I'm not just talking about travel. I'm talking about where I want to end up in my life, the legacies that I want to have. I have a destination in mind with my children, a destination for my business, a destination. And those destinations always evolve as I evolve. But the whole thing is the journey, that if I'm on this journey and I'm like allowing myself to change and evolve as I go, then when I arrive to the destination, it's like, of course it was going to happen. It was always meant to happen because I became the vibrational match to have it. So I want you to think about this week, all of just what I said. Are you invested fully into your dreams? Or are you expecting someone or something outside of yourself to save you or give you the validation that you need to prove to yourself that you're worthy of the things that you want? Because you might be waiting a long time. And then when things don't go your way, because that's inevitable as well, that we don't always have everything working out perfectly smooth. There's fluctuations, right? And when the fluctuations come, if you're not intuitively, this is where that third eye card comes in so beautifully. If you're not taking the time to go into your intuition and come back to the feeling state of what you know can be true or what you want to see happen, you're just relying on logic and linear thinking. It's kind of like you're taking yourself out of the vibration. And you might not, like, if you don't trust it, then how's it going to come to be? So your job this week is to notice the things that come to you easily and that what the harvest is, but also to review and evaluate, are you fully showing up for the things that you want in your life? Are you making time and space for those things so that you can receive the bounty? Because that's the way this works. You become the internal set point for that which you want to receive. And then the external world, just its job is just to reflect it back to you. So those are the cards. I want to reiterate one more time that I have a free program. It's a 4-day free program called Future Self Activation. And it's going to be the 18th, 19th, and 20th. And it's going to be on Facebook. It's a free, I'm going to be teaching at least an hour each day. And I'm really going to be giving you the roadmap to become, like, to get to know who your future self is and what she really desires and wants. Because so many people, I ask women, what do you want? What are you working towards right now? I don't know. I don't have a clear vision. This is going to give you a clear vision. Number one. Number two, there is a block or resistance that's keeping you from being your future self. I'm going to reveal that to you. I'm going to show you exactly what it is that is keeping you from being able to become her through a very deep guided hypnosis. So excited. And then lastly, I'm going to show you the roadmap. I'm going to teach you exactly the things that you need to do to get to her. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I'm so excited about this. Like I said, it's invitation only. So if you want to join, just all you have to do is message me on this thread and I'll send you the details. It's as simple as that. I want women in there who really want to be a part of this and are committed to seeing, their next level. So anyways, I hope you have a beautiful April. I'm excited to see how things unfold. I know it's going to be glorious in all the ways. And I want to leave you with this last thought, as I've been thinking about this a lot with astrology, and because the astrology has been so big as of late, is astrology is only half of the picture. Like, we are co-creators. It's just like it's seasoning to a meal. It flavors it. It gives a certain, dimension to things, but it's not the end all be all. So if you're like, oh my God, I want to like hide under the covers because this is happening or whatever it may be. No, you don't hide from life. You show up for it and you trust it, right? You trust that life is designed to support you in your growth and evolution. And sometimes it is challenging. And other times it's so freaking sweet. So it's like, be there for all of it. Don't worry about, like, just let the astrology be kind of just like kind of telling you like what the weather is going to be like. But even if it's raining outside, you can still have an incredible day. Some people love rain. Some people love sunshine. It doesn't matter. It's just a theme energetically. Okay. So I just want to leave you with that, because I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, Mercury retrograde or this or that. It's like, no, it's just a thing. It's just there, to support you and show you and guide you and lead you in different ways. But ultimately, you are the leader of yourself along with the divine, right? You're co-creating with the divine. So I'll leave you with that. Have a beautiful April.